Welcome to my world, a place where the shadows whisper and the night hides secrets too dark for the day. I am not here to comfort you. I am here to remind you that evil is real. Sometimes it wears a mask, and sometimes it wears the face of someone you trust. So sit back, lock your doors, and listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you isn't just a story. It's a warning from the black world I walk in. I had been walking home alone from nights out for months without much trouble. My friends always warned me it was dangerous, especially for a girl in her 20s. But I had my usual tricks. Keep the music low, keep my head up, stick to the lit streets. And for a while it worked. But one night I made a mistake. I trusted someone I should never have trusted. It was a Saturday. I had gone out with a couple of friends, but they all ended up catching rides home before me. I decided I would just walk. I had done it dozens of times before. About 10 minutes into my walk, I noticed someone up ahead. At first, I thought nothing of it. It was just another young woman, maybe around my age, walking in the same direction. She had dark hair, a backpack, and a confident stride. When I caught up to her at the crosswalk, she smiled and said, "Hey, walking home too?" Her voice was friendly and casual. I nodded and told her, "Yeah, just heading up this way." She grinned wider and said, "Perfect. Same here, I am, Kim." We started walking together, and I cannot lie, it felt good, safer. Like suddenly I was not alone anymore. We chatted a little, just small talk about where we had been that night, how late it was the usual. She was easy to talk to, but there was something off. It was not anything obvious. It was the way she kept glancing at me instead of the road ahead. The way her smile felt a little too fixed, like she was waiting for something. I brushed it off. I did not want to seem paranoid. About 5 minutes later, she suddenly said, "Hey, I live just around here. You want to stop in for a drink before heading home?" I froze. Who invites a total stranger into their place at midnight? I laughed awkwardly and said, "No thanks. I should probably get home." Her smile did not fade. She said, "Come on, just one. It is right here. Literally one street over." She pointed toward a narrow road leading off the main street. I looked at it. Dark, empty, no street lights. My gut twisted. Something screamed at me not to go. I told her firmly, "I am good," trying to stay polite. Kim tilted her head. Her eyes studied me in a way that made my skin crawl. Then she chuckled. "Suit yourself, but do not say I did not offer." We kept walking, but I noticed she slowed her pace, letting me get a few steps ahead. I tried not to think about it until I heard something. Footsteps, not hers from that dark side street she had pointed at. I turned my head just enough to see a figure moving in the shadows. Tall male. He was standing just inside the darkness, like he was waiting. And then it clicked. Kim was not just being friendly. She was not just inviting me in. She was leading me straight into him. My blood ran cold. I forced myself not to react, not to speed up too suddenly. I just kept walking, heart hammering in my chest. Kim called out casually, "You sure you do not want to take the shortcut? It is faster." I did not answer. I could not. My throat felt locked. Instead, I kept my eyes on the lit street ahead, one foot in front of the other. Just keep moving. Behind me, I could hear her steps quickening to catch up, and from the side street the sound of another step, heavy, slow. I realized in that moment, I was not walking home anymore. I was walking into a trap. My legs wanted to run, but I knew if I bolted, it might trigger them. I kept my pace steady, trying not to show the panic burning in my chest. I felt Kim come closer beside me, her voice softer, almost playful, as she said, "You really should not walk alone at night. You never know who might be out here." The way she said it made my skin crawl. It was not concern. It was a warning. I glanced around, searching for any open store or any sign of people. But the street was nearly empty. The lights above hummed weakly, and the night stretched out. Too quiet, I whispered to myself. Just keep walking. Just get to the main road. Kim leaned in closer like she was testing me. She said, "It really would be safer if you came with me. I have friends waiting. We could all hang out." That word, friends, hit me like ice. I realized it was not just her and the man in the shadows. There might be more waiting inside that dark street. I forced a smile like I had not caught on. I said, "Maybe another night. I am exhausted. I really need to get home." I pushed my steps a little faster. She matched me step for step, still smiling, still staring. From the corner of my eye, I saw the tall man shift in the darkness like he was preparing to move. The thought of them closing in on both sides almost made my knees buckle. I told myself, "Think, stay calm, find people up ahead." The street curved and I saw a glow. A convenience store light flickering in the distance. It was still a few minutes away, but it looked like hope. I focused on it like a lifeline. Every step was heavy. My throat was dry. My pulse pounded so hard, I could hear it in my ears. Kim noticed where I was looking. She tilted her head and said, "You do not need to go that far. My place really is closer." I did not answer. I just kept walking faster. This time I did not care if it looked suspicious. My body screamed to get away. Then I heard it behind me. The sound of a shoe scuffing hard against pavement. The man from the shadows had stepped forward. My chest locked with terror. I almost broke into a sprint, but I forced myself to glance quickly around. A car was coming down the street. Its headlights swept across the pavement, and for a second the man froze in the light. Kim stopped smiling. Her face went blank. That was my chance. I ran. I did not think. I did not breathe. I just ran straight toward the glow of the convenience store. Behind me, I could hear footsteps pounding faster. Kim shouting something, but the words were lost in the rush of blood in my ears. The door to the store came closer. I grabbed the handle and practically threw myself inside. The bell above the door jingled loud and sharp. The clerk looked up, startled, as I stumbled to the counter, gasping for breath. Through the glass, I could see Kim and the tall man standing at the corner, watching. Their faces were shadowed, but I could feel their eyes on me. Then slowly they turned and walked back into the dark street. I stayed inside until a friend came to pick me up. I never walked home alone after that night, and I will never forget the smile on Kim's face the moment I realized she was leading me into a trap. I could not shake the fear, even after I left the store. My friend drove me home that night, and I sat in silence, staring out of the car window, replaying every second in my mind. I kept asking myself how close I had been to stepping into that side street, how close I had been to never making it home. When we finally pulled into my driveway, I remember sitting there frozen for a moment. My friend touched my arm and asked, "Are you okay?" I forced a nod, but the truth was, I was not okay. I felt like my whole world had tilted. That night I barely slept. Every sound outside my window made me jump. I kept thinking about Kim, her fixed smile, her too friendly voice, the way she slowed her steps to let me walk ahead, like she was lining me up for him. The next morning, I told my parents what happened. They were horrified. My dad wanted to call the police right away, but I felt stupid. What would I even tell them? I had not been hurt. I had not been dragged into the dark street. I had escaped. But deep down I knew if I had made even one wrong choice, I would not be here to tell it. Still, my dad insisted. He called the local police station, and I gave them my statement. They asked for every detail I could remember. The way Kim looked, the way the tall man moved in the shadows, the exact streets where it happened. One of the officers nodded slowly and told us something that made my stomach twist. He said they had received other reports in the area about a young woman luring people toward houses late at night, and in at least one case the person had gone missing. I felt cold all over. Hearing that made me realize it had been real. It was not just paranoia or my imagination. It was a setup. For days I was scared to even leave the house. When I finally did, I only went out in daylight. I refused to walk anywhere alone. I started carrying pepper spray and checking every shadow, every corner. But the fear did not stop there. Sometimes at night I swore I saw faces watching from across the street. A figure near the bus stop lingering too long. a flash of dark hair disappearing around the corner. I never saw Kim again, but her smile haunted me like a scar burned into my memory. My parents told me I was safe, but I did not feel safe. I felt hunted, like someone somewhere was still waiting for me to let my guard down. And the thought that there were others, that maybe other girls had not been so lucky, that thought has never left me. Weeks passed, and life slowly tried to return to normal. But the memory stayed with me. It was like a shadow that followed me everywhere I went. Even during the day when I walked with friends, I found myself scanning every face in the crowd, half expecting to see Kim smiling at me again. One afternoon, I decided to take a bus instead of walking. I sat near the back, scrolling on my phone when two police officers got on. They were talking quietly, but I caught a few words that made my chest tighten. They mentioned a missing person from the same area where I had met Kim. I leaned closer, trying not to be obvious. The officers said the missing girl had last been seen leaving a bar late at night. She had been walking alone and someone remembered seeing her talking to another young woman. Dark hair, backpack, confident smile. I felt sick. It was her. It had to be Kim. That night I could not eat. I could not sit still. I kept pacing around the house, replaying it in my head. I thought about how easily it could have been me, how maybe that missing girl had trusted Kim the same way I almost had. A few days later, I went back to the police station. I told them I had overheard the officers on the bus and that I was certain it was the same woman I had met. They listened carefully, and one of them showed me a sketch they had been working on. The drawing looked almost identical to her. The officer told me that in some cases criminals like this work in pairs. One person looks safe, harmless, even helpful. The other waits in the shadows, ready to act when the target is close enough. Hearing that confirmed my worst fear. Kim had never been walking home that night. She had been hunting. For months after that night, I struggled with nightmares. I dreamed of being dragged into that dark street. Hands grabbing me, voices whispering in the dark. Sometimes I woke up gasping, drenched in sweat, convinced I could still hear footsteps behind me. Even when nothing was there, the fear stayed lodged inside me like a thorn. I would never forget the way her eyes had studied me, like I was already caught, like she was measuring how easy it would be to pull me in. And deep down, I knew something chilling. The missing girl was not the first victim, and she would not be the last. Time moved forward, but the fear never really left me. Months turned into years, yet the memory of that night stayed sharp, like it had just happened. I learned to live with it, but it changed the way I looked at the world. I stopped trusting strangers so easily. I stopped believing that danger only came from men in dark alleys. Because sometimes the most dangerous person is the one who looks the safest. A friendly smile, a soft voice, a girl who seems just like you. I followed the news from time to time, hoping for updates about Kim or the tall man, but nothing ever came out. No arrests, no clear answers. Just silence. That silence made it worse, because I knew they were still out there, somewhere waiting, watching, searching for someone else to trick. There were nights when I sat in my room, replaying everything again and again. The way Kim had walked beside me, the way she had slowed her steps, the way the man had stood waiting in the shadows. I thought about the missing girl, and I prayed she had found her way back home, even though I knew deep down she had not. Sometimes I wondered why Kim chose me that night. Was it random? Was I just the first girl she saw walking alone? Or did she study me, waiting for the perfect moment? I will never know. And that unknown is the part that keeps me awake, even now. I never walked home alone again. After that night, I always found a ride or stayed with friends, or spent the money for a cab. It was not worth the risk. One moment of false trust almost cost me my life. And yet the image never fades. Her smile under the dim streetlight, her voice urging me to take the shortcut, her eyes watching me like I was already hers. It is a scar that no one can see, but I carry it with me forever. Because the truth is, I was one step away from vanishing into the dark street, just like the others. And if not for luck and a flicker of headlights, you would not be hearing this story at all. Looking back now, I know that night changed me forever. It was the night I learned that evil does not always come in the shape you expect. Sometimes it wears a friendly smile. Sometimes it walks beside you and makes you feel safe while it is guiding you straight into danger. I think about Kim more often than I want to admit. Not because I miss her, of course, but because I wonder how many others she fooled. How many others followed her into the dark street without hesitation. How many did not get the chance to turn back the way I did. I know now that I survived by luck alone. A single car passing at the right moment. A pair of headlights that froze them long enough for me to escape. If that car had not been there, my story would have ended very differently. That is why I tell this story, not for sympathy but as a warning. Do not ignore the feeling in your gut. Do not dismiss the small details that feel off. Trust your instincts, because they might be the only thing standing between you and a trap. Whenever I walk at night now, I keep my guard high. My eyes are sharp. My steps are quick. And in the back of my mind, I always hear her voice, soft and sweet, asking me to take the shortcut. But I never do, I never will, because I know what waits in the dark. If this story sent chills down your spine, do not walk away just yet. Hit the like button to let me know you survived the journey with me. Subscribe and step deeper into the shadows, where I bring you true stories that remind us just how dangerous the world can be. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done in this situation?